La, 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 la. I think we're recording. I'm gonna have to stop sharing. Are we recording? We're recording. Hello, folks. I see Vicky and I see Josie do not feel the need to unmute and talk. I'm gonna do my thing, and then if folks are it'll take like 10, 15 minutes. And if folks are still here at the end and want to talk about some of the stuff I put up, I'd love that, but no pressure also if you're just here to kind of watch. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my slides and get started. There we go. That's what we want. Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is week number 4 on our co-op outreach live and the 4 points of startup social media that we've been covering. And of course, these are the 4 key points of startup social media from my perspective. You can have your own opinions and disagreements, and I'd love to see those in the comments under the video in the group. Please feel free to share them. We talked in week 1 about the values lens. That is toning all your communication, pouring all your communication through those core values that are the reason your co-op exists and the reason people are attracted to participating in it, and making sure that you are actually moving all of those different values. You're talking about them through a little bit here, a little bit there, but through every way that you communicate. So we talked about that, and then we talked about effective visuals, because 50% of the story you tell on social media, but I'd also argue in your newsletter, is visual. People are attracted to visuals. They interact with written words and concepts because of the visuals, now more than ever. And so they're critical. And we talked about how to do them effectively, how you need to take a lot more photos than you think you do at every little thing that your co-op kind of vaguely does. If you put a yard sign in someone's lawn, if you drop some postcards off at the post office for your co-op, if you're walking to a meeting on behalf of the co-op, if you make a presentation, if you're at an event, there need to be photos. Always take photos. And if you don't use them right away, you can use them later. But you need to do visual storytelling. It's critical. And what's the number one thing that actually doesn't work? Because no matter what, have a photo. It's better to have some visual rather than none, but the worst possible choice is stock photography. Okay, so go back and watch that one if you didn't see that one already. So we've got our values lens, effective visuals, and then we talked about connect, which, yes, is about hyperlinking within social media and hashtagging, but it's also about something much bigger. You're actually weaving your co-op into the actual fabric of the community. You're making it a valid piece that is interconnected and woven into and necessary to the community through connect. And we do that through all sorts of principles I talked about last week, like thanking people, yes, hyperlinking, and who we do it, how we do it, how often we mention other groups, organizations, and thank people. We're showing every time we do that, we mention these other orgs, we mention that farm, we mention that volunteer, we thank that person who volunteered or helped out with this or gave us that. Every time we're actually weaving ourselves in the community. We're saying, look at all these things we're connected to. We're also grabbing their audience and making ourselves a part of their audience as well if we use the hyperlink. And we talked all about that, so check out video number 3. Our last one is in some ways the toughest to talk about, and it's voice and having a voice. So let's see what that's all about today. So no, it doesn't want to forward my slide. Doesn't like me. There you go. I'm just leaving this slide for a quick second. I know some established hosts have been watching these videos. You are welcome. Hello. Some of this applies to you. Most of it applies to you. Actually, everything today applies to you. So don't worry about this slide, okay? So let's talk about voice. The number one universal thing to remember about voice is your co-op needs its own voice. It does not sound like any one person at your co-op. It also needs to not sound like a robot. And developing voice is a real thing. It's a trick. And there are people, who make all of their money through doing social media work, being social media personalities, to running social media platforms, to supporting other people's social media platforms. And they will tell you that voice is one of the most critical things. I said 50% of the story is visual, but a huge chunk, maybe 90% of your success on social media is actually having a voice that people like, want to interact with, and actually want to share. And that can sound weird because it's a co-op, it's an organization. How does it have a personality? How does it talk? And yet, that's exactly what we need to do. And if you think about it, there are social media channels for organizations or businesses that you really enjoy because they're funny, because they're really informational, because they're really thought-provoking. And it's a voice. There's actually a personality that you like to the way that organization communicates itself. That is what is memorable to you. And there are some funny recent examples that I can throw out there. We went through a phase where Wendy's was actually kind of, smack talking all sorts of other fast food businesses and making funny comments about their stuff in a very friendly, playful way. And it became a voice, and people were sharing that stuff like mad. And Wendy's was getting all sorts of attention, but it's because they developed a distinct voice that we actually felt like we were talking to a person. And that's what we're looking to actually do with our co-ops. So we're going to start with my top 4 easy tips about voice. But then we're going to go into some activities you can try to better understand your co-op's voice, and then we're going to go into a couple examples. All right. So today, the 4 easy basic voice concepts. There is no I in team. Please don't use first-person language. And a lot of co-ops are tempted to do this. And if your startup has done it, you are not alone. Some open co-ops have done it. But there is a weird alienating effect when an organization is supposed to be ours, that we own it, we're in it together, we're developing it, we're growing it, and someone uses the I. They talk about, I was doing this today, or I felt this, or I thought you'd enjoy this article. As soon as we use the I, we're really confused. The voice of an organization, especially one we belong to, should somehow encompass all of us. It's strange to think about, but it's true. It should use the we. We should never use the I. Now, if you want to, as an individual board member or outreach person, want to share a special message, an anecdote, that's okay. You can do that, but that shouldn't be the co-op's constant tone. It should be from our outreach coordinator, Jonathan, and then the statement, or it should be from our board chair, Andre, and now here's what he's saying, or here's a video about him, or he's talking to you. But the co-op, the we, should actually be introducing the I, because the I is just one owner or one board member out of 9, and one owner maybe out of hundreds or even thousands of people. And so they're being introduced by the co-op to the rest of the co-op. Here's a fellow owner, here's a leader of your co-op speaking to you, but they are not the co-op. So be very careful of the I. Do not use it unless the co-op as a one voice is introducing that I, that individual, and letting them share something specific on the co-op's behalf. Again, that sounds kind of weird, right? Get your brain around that. The co-op is the voice, this mystical voice back there, and then it's introducing the individual. Okay, we can talk about that more. Do post like you talk. This one's pretty simple, but some people stumble with this. Read aloud what you're about to post. Does it sound stiff? An important part of being a co-op is that you seem very approachable, that you seem like they're friends and neighbors, part of their community. Make sure you don't sound too stiff. Now, not everyone falls into this pitfall at all, but those who are newer to social media, and some of you have said that no one on your board is actually, is a social media maven who sits online all night, and so you're kind of newer to this, and you haven't posted a lot on behalf of other organizations before, and you're trying to kind of figure it out. It can come off a little stiff. So read the post to yourself, read it out loud, and then say, how would I have said that if I was just talking? And see if there's a way that you can shape it to sound a little more like, again, a human being, not an I, not you talking, but a human being talking, giving the co-op a voice as if it's a person that is talking to other individuals in a way that feels warm and approachable. All right, we're going to show some more examples of this, but we're just going down the list for now. Tip number 3, personality. So once you get through, we aren't using the I voice, and try and soften up the tone and make it like you talk, the way you would talk to your neighbors, the way you would talk to a friend, make it a little more conversational. Then we get to this advanced concept, which is personality. This is going to sound really wild to some of you, but the co-op not only has to have a voice like it's a person on social media, it has to have a personality on top of it all. We're going to go more in depth on that in the next slide. But as you build up confidence with your social media, you need to build up kind of a personality for how you talk to the community. And that's hard to do if you have a whole bunch of different people posting occasionally sometimes. You do want to move toward having just a few people, 2, 3 tops, that are controlling your social media and posting that stuff to kind of keep the voice consistent, at least most of the time. And you can kind of tell when a co-op has 5 or 6 different people that are posting for them, because the voice keeps jumping around. This person, sometimes things get posted with almost no information at all, and they're very terse. This one's really chatty, and they come, and you can kind of see it, and you're like, well, what's wrong with that? Everyone who read it would tell you consciously nothing's really wrong with it, except for developing a cohesive personality also is a way people identify you as much as your brand. Wearing those colors, wearing those, having your co-op colors, your co-op logo. Also, that co-op personality becomes consistent, that tone, the way they expect you to talk. And if you don't have that, if it's jumping all around, you might not develop that in stage 1. It can take into stage 2 of development. But when you're jumping on, it doesn't really click. It doesn't really, people don't know exactly what to expect. Oh, they're their co-op, how their co-op's going to communicate to them, what they'll share. So you feel erratic and you don't have a sense of personality. The last one, easy tip, and then we're going to go into a lot of examples and exercises you can use, is respond. Respond to every single comment in a talkative, chatty, timely way. Respond like you were responding to a friend. If someone makes a short comment, like if you have someone say, hey, or just as you put up an event, they say, what time? You don't want to get over the top and get late to the point it's kind of obnoxious. I think you might know what I'm talking about when this happens, but you do want to respond, hey, Jennifer, thanks so much for checking in. It starts at 4 o'clock and goes to 7. We really hope you're going to be able to stop by. That is a nice, chatty, friendly answer, no matter how, like when. Or you say, did you have a great holiday weekend? What did you guys cook this weekend? And someone answers no. And I have just occasionally seen that. Even that, you can develop some personality to your channel and to your social media by responding. It is actually part of our personality to be responsive, to want to be thoughtful. Not a book every time someone writes no, but you could respond to that with, hey, Jacqueline, sorry to hear you didn't have a great weekend. We hope you can make it out to our next event and have a lot more fun. Something like that. And I can give you more examples, but always, always, always respond. And sometimes I see startups leave, we don't get as many comments as we'd like to get. Comments really boost our visual, we're much more visible on social media the more people comment. Likes are great, comments are gold. And yet when we get them, sometimes it seems like we don't know what to do with them. And we don't really say much back. Or like, someone says, we say, welcome to owner number 613, blah, blah, and someone just says, welcome. That maybe you don't feel like you can really interact with that one, but most of them you can find an excuse to interact back that isn't utterly ridiculously over the top. And I'll give a quick example of that. Sometimes when folks, this is rare, but when you're trying to use that values lens and you're trying to be talkative and responsive, I see this happen. Someone says, let's go back to, we're having this event, blah, 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 blah. And they say, what time? And you respond, Jacqueline, so glad you asked. We hope you'll come out to this wonderful event that's helping us build the local food community that's going to feature this farm, this farm, this farm from 4 to 6 p.m. And we hope to see you there. Whoa. We're trying to find the balance between, would you respond to your neighbor like that? Nope. On the other hand, if your neighbor Dominique said, hey, what time, in a text, or in an email, you might say back, hey, it's from 4 to 6 tonight. It's going to be kind of, open format. You can come, go as you please. Hope to see you there. That's how you would actually talk. Go back to like you talk. So we want to respond to people every single time, if at all possible, without being ridiculously over the top and something you would never say to your friends. Okay, so this is a wall of words. What is this? This is just something I would throw out there. There's a lot of ways to develop your co-op's voice. This is just a potential fun way to maybe think about it as a team. Especially recommend this to maybe stage 2A co-ops. Any co-op could do this at any point in their development if they're still in charge of social media. And I mean as in, so if you have an outreach committee that's entirely in charge of social media, then this might be done by them, or it might actually still be done by the board and or with them or with the head of that committee and handed off to them like, hey, we thought this through and here's what we came up with. So what am I going to suggest you do with these words? And again, you don't have to do exactly this, but I actually recommend it. It will take you like 15 minutes and it'll help you, even those of you on the board who are like, I am not a marketing person. I do not do the communications. I don't understand it. That's good. You do that. Actually, it'd be good if you even participated to get kind of a joint understanding of your co-op's voice, and it'll be fun. So here's what you do. So first, you as a board take out this list and you say, are there any additional words? So these are words like personalities. So type of personality, your voice that you have. You could have a very friendly voice. You could have an intense voice. You could have a novel voice. You could have a stimulating voice. You could have a really smart voice. You could have a breathtaking voice. You could have, an artistic voice. There's lots of words in here that will never apply to your co-op, and there's lots of ones that will. But read through it, and the first question is just, can we think of any words that we would add to this? Those might come out in the next part, though, too, which is have everyone themselves, not talking to each other, pick 10 that are not your co-op. So this is the easier part, gets people warmed up. Go to this list and circle, maybe if you have 2 different color pens, circle one color, the ones that you're like, that is definitely, like not as in like, oh, we're not athletic because we're not a sports organization, but like the ones like, this is the wrong voice for us. That would be not us. Like noisy, or maybe what are some maybe silly is a bad fit. If you're swanky, oh my god, we're in a low-income community, we definitely don't want to sound swanky. Go through actually identifying which of these words would be actually the antithesis of your co-op, up to 10. If you can't find 10, that's fine. And then share them with each other and talk about it and see if you guys had a lot of agreements or if you had disagreement. And it'll be really interesting to see how you understand who your co-op is in the same way. Now that you're warmed up with that fun, we do the tougher version, which is pick the 10 that could be your co-op. Like those things sound like us. Like we want to be direct and honest, and we want to sound serious, fun, and just make yourself a list of which of these would sound like your co-op. Do that alone in the same room, and then share your results with each other again and see what you come up with. The final goal is to whittle it down to 4 or 5 words that you agree is how your co-op wants to sound. Our co-op should sound honest. Our co-op should sound friendly. Our co-op should sound neighborly. Our co-op should sound bold. Now, actually, just to give you an example, my home co-op, now we've been open for a while, but we had a very unique position in the community, and we kind of didn't realize that until we ran a very similar exercise to this. Well, we were actually working on our store rebrand. We were doing a new logo and brand. And what we found is actually one of the words on here was one of our key words, which was edgy. Was it edgy? Do you mean like hip? And we're like, no. What we meant was in our community, there are lots and lots and lots of grocery stores and food options. And what people look to Common Ground Food Co-op for is to really push the line and hold the line, to define local, to be a little confrontational about things that pretend to hold the values that we walk and talk every day. And edgy actually encompassed that and why people trust us. And that became central to our voice. Now, that might not be your voice at all as a food co-op, but you aren't all going to have the same one. And you may find some of these words on here really suit you that will not suit other co-ops. So it's just one way to look at having a personality or a voice for your co-op when you're doing social media and sharing information through newsletters, emails, and so forth, especially social media. I won't harp on that one too much longer. Do you have to do this exercise? No, absolutely you don't have to. But it could actually be a very valuable one for your outreach committee to do. But again, don't necessarily skip the idea of doing this on the board. One, most boards will find this quite fun. And it warms them up, it loosens them up, and they actually learn some things about what each other thinks about what people think about the co-op. Who do they want the co-op to be? You thought they wanted us to be funny and outgoing and silly. Wait a minute, that's not what I thought. You can learn a lot. It can be very interesting. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple examples today before we sign off. I wanted to do a couple more, a little short on time, because, just going to take a moment, I just got to help present the award, the first ever Bill Gessner Startup Award to the Assabet Food Co-op. So congratulations, Assabet. That just happened at CCMA, the National Conference for Food Co-ops today. But I do have some examples for you, and this is my favorite one. This is Little Africa Food Co-op in Cleveland, Ohio. They have a voice that is all their own. It is very much their voice. First off, a lot of us never use all caps on social media. Little Africa uses them a lot. You know what? It works for them completely. Go check it out. They use a lot of video. 2 of the clips you see here are video. And actually, the rule I had about the I is kinda broken here. How? Because individual members of the board and organizing team will be in these videos and will say, I am here at today distributing food, or I am here at today greeting the community. And that's okay though, because the co-op at the top, the co-op introduces your co-op is at, or here's what the co-op's doing. And then maybe, and so some of these people, Mickey Smith, who's featured in the largest photo, she's on the left, she is definitely well-known, a board member to the community, but so are several other members of the board. Angie, who's in the top, small top photo, she is well-known. There's another board member who's and their board chair who often does videos, and so it's actually become kind of their language to use videos and to talk directly to people. And you want to talk about talking like you're just a neighbor, just one of the community, and really connecting with people. They've got that down. This works for them. They are very comfortable on camera, and they talk in a very relaxed, one-on-one way, and they know that video is very appealing to their community, and the people watch a lot of video. So it's a unique voice. It's their voice. It's an excellent voice. It is distinctly the co-ops, even as much as there are certain individuals you can tell do a lot of the social media, and it very much connects to who their community is. This is brilliant social media. Check it out, even if it's completely different from the personality that might suit your co-op. This is an open co-op, so I kind of cheated here. Urban Greens Co-op, who opened just a year ago. They're celebrating their first anniversary this month and doing well. And actually have greatly grown their sales through the COVID-19 crisis and are doing terrific. And so Urban Greens is in Providence, Rhode Island, and they have a very distinctive voice. If you read a lot of open food co-ops Facebook pages, they aren't always awesome at voice either. Urban Greens is really far and away one of the best. And they're not a lot of words. They aren't super talkative. But those words really are friendly and connect. And I only give you a couple examples here, and you kind of have to read down maybe 20 posts to really kind of see that consistency. Now this, again, is their community, and this is what works for them. For their community and for their values and the reason they exist to be there, it made a lot of sense to really speak up about Black Lives Matter right now. And they have done that. And they have put signs on the store and so forth. But I love that they said, they put up this picture of Black Lives Matter signage and said, we hear you, we are you. Simple, but it's really powerful. And that's how they tend to talk. But then they had some fun with it a day later, but it was still serious. Well, kind of had some fun. And we are still standing with you always. But also need to share what's in store for your picnic and cooking needs. Purple and green sugar snaps are just in from this farm. And it worked because that's kind of their tone. Like, hey, we see you, we see what's going on. And by the way, have you checked out these awesome local sugar snaps? New customer alert, first visit to the co-op. We hope you found some great grocery items. Again, that's not very many words, not very complicated, not even very emotive, and yet somehow deeply connecting. And that's how they talk all the time. And they do a great job of using photos compared to a lot of established co-ops, lots of humans in them. So check them out. The last one I would have loved, and I'm going to stop share, would have loved to share with you, and I didn't have time to build, actually would have been Fredericksburg Food Co-op. Now, the fun thing about Fredericksburg's Food Co-op's feed is that it's pretty standard co-op stuff that they're sharing. They do it consistently. They do it well. They also have this thing that is just them. They use more emojis than I've ever seen any co-op ever use. Hearts and smiles and rainbows. They emoji it out. You know what? It works. It actually really works. They have a very bright, sunny personality to their co-op, very optimistic, very outgoing. See, that's a personality. It sounds like I'm describing a person. If it sounds like I'm describing a person when I'm describing your social media, you're killing it. All right, that's what we want. And Fredericksburg Food Co-op does a great job of that. Again, very different from Little Africa's personality, very different from Urban Green's personality. It's distinct, it's them. Go check it out, you'll see what I mean. There's just a constant sunshiny upbeatness that cannot be, like, it's just like indomitable spirit would be what I'd say. And that's literally me describing the co-op, but I sound like I'm talking about a person. All right, so I know a few people threw some things in the chat. Personality is a component of branding too. Yes, exactly. Correct. And you guys feel free, if you want to unmute and talk, you can. If you want to, if you don't want to, that's fine too. So I love the, personality. All these pieces play off each other. They do. I tried to pull them out into little pieces you could think about separately, but when you start using them, yeah, very much so. Very much so. The first time owner piece, yeah, that was cool, wasn't it? I loved that. There's a comment from Mad River about that Urban Greens, they've been open a year, and somehow they captured a moment when someone was shopping in their store for the very first time. You know, if you were an open store, you'd know a lot of people are shopping in your store for the very first time right now since COVID-19. It's all of a sudden, people who never knew about the co-ops are getting involved with co-ops. So there's more of them. They had an easier chance to catch one. But they reacted in the moment and caught that really fun, joyful photo where she looks really, you know, pleased and excited to be noticed like that. And they just really captured a moment. And that was, yeah, that was gold. Any other questions, comments? You can throw them in the chat or feel free to unmute. This is pretty casual. You know, only your fellow members of the group are going to see it.
I just finished my lunch, so now I can come on camera.
Right.
No, and it's 5:30 on the East Coast. Thank you for all this. And 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I would have been listening to this in an entirely different lens. Now my lens is that, you know, we have publicly made some statements regarding racism and committed to putting together an action plan. And it feels a little, I don't even know what the right word is, to go from posting Blackout Tuesday to today's National Hummus Day. Hey, everybody, you know, which would have been what I would have done, you know, 2 months ago. So we're very much in a place right now of trying to recalibrate our voice so that we can say we're not forgetting all this, but we're not quite ready to, you know, get back to the fun, friendly, you know, thing. So these kind of interim things have been much more community oriented. Like some things are starting to open up around here. Like everybody was wild about the fact that the compost center opened back up, you know. So we know, so we, you know, the basics. So we shared that the recycling center was open now, and the library's taking back books. So, you know, we're trying to do things that are informative, kind of supporting the community, but we're making that our way back to where we were. And it's kind of an odd spot, but it's forcing us to be thoughtful about what we're doing. So
it is an odd spot, and I would say you have nailed it, though. I think you really do get what you're doing. You know, not only making statements about Black Lives Matters right now and racism and police brutality, is that, you know, we want to be careful about how we kind of move back into conversing about other things, but also in some ways, for some of you, it might be the first time your owners have heard you fully position yourself as a certain kind of moral player in the community. And so it's, in a way, it's not just how do we start talking after that, it's more also, I think you just shifted your voice and your owner's consciousness to who you are a little bit. And so I think you're recalibrating.
Yeah, we hope so. Like I said, we don't want to lose that. We want to keep it, you know, keep that out there.
Yes. And I think you're doing a good job. I think the balance is, and this is going to sound sometimes a bit, everyone, if we stay really grim about, you know, very serious, and I want to say grim, but it becomes that, if we stay very serious in a very certain way, it actually kind of is counter effective.
Mhm.
It actually, a lot of people, especially people most closest to this, is like, this is intense. There's a lot of terrible things going on. It's also a moment of, bursting consciousness and possibility, and, uprising is like that, and we want to balance. And I think I love how you come out of it by focusing on featuring the community, and I think that's right. Nothing frivolous. I think that's what you've done a good job of avoiding. I've noticed your posts is you haven't gone to frivolous things that are going on in the community that people might be excited about. That's great, but we're still talking about the well-being of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And mixing that with an occasional article that maybe, saying the board is currently reading this, or we came across this today and found this really informative, to kind of keep that, like, we have
Keep it out there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think like you said like, we want to make clear we're not moving on from this. We haven't forgotten. And so we want to weave that in, but I think, and we slowly move toward more and more of sharing what's going on in the community. We can talk a lot about spring food through local farms, but it's still a reflection on the community,
Mhm.
and I think that you have a real talent for this, and I think you've done a good job of bringing that voice back and balancing that. So I would actually encourage people to kind of look at, Bethlehem got real quiet for a bit, but once they figured out what they were going to do, they've really been you can watch the confidence of the voice building right now, and they're figuring it out. So I think it's really demonstrative of what we're talking about here, and it's a good point that a lot of you might be going through some different voice challenges than you usually have. Other comments or questions? All right. Well, I am going to wrap it up then. Quick question for y'all, and you can send this to me later. I'll ask in the group, so it's more to put it back.
Thank you.
Happy to keep doing these if people want to get together and talk. We've had one or two coaches say they'd actually want me to take their social media and analyze it in front of everybody. Great fun is I can do that with love.
Be careful what you wish for.
Right. He said the examples have been so valuable in these videos that's been their favorite part. And they're like, so like, make us an example. What if we did like a case study of each other's social media? I'm like, well, if you're volunteering, then yes, but so we might do that. And so I'll be looking for comments this coming week. You don't have to give them to me now, about if there are other topics folks would like to cover, or like a little pithy thing like this about. So, and with that, we'll go ahead and end the video. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for
Good
coming
night. Have
out.
a good evening.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.